Hey friends, I'm Miss Martin again. I hope you guys are having a great summer, and we are going to do some fun activities today. Now I have kind of a theme that my videos are going to mostly be about today. We're going to do some things that are not exactly with this theme, but we're going to do some things that are. So I'm sitting outside my house and I have a background. Alright, so here's my background. And my background is my garden. So Miss Martin, every summer, my dad and we plant a garden. We put peppers in our garden. We put tomatoes in our garden. We put cucumbers in our garden. And we love to make a garden. It's really fun. And I bet there's a lot of you guys at home too that have gardens at your house. You could have gardens with plants, or you could have gardens with flowers. There's so many different ways that you guys could have a garden. My stuff is flying all over the place. All right. So, I'm not going to tell you our theme just yet. We're going to read two books, and I want to see if you guys have an idea of what our theme is based off of the books and based off of my background. All right, so the first book that we are going to read is a decodable book that you guys should be able to read yourselves at home. So I'm going to put it up to the screen, and you guys are going to follow along with my finger. I'm going to use my reading finger so that you guys can read this book, okay? So this book isn't exactly going to tell you what our theme is, but it's going to tell you something that our theme needs. So we're going to be talking about something that needs things, okay? So I know it's a little bit tricky, but I'm really thinking that some of you guys will be able to get what we're going to be learning about. So here is our decodable book. All right, so if you're at home, you can follow along with my reading finger. If I'm on a computer, you could even point to my computer and follow and read with me as well, okay? So you read first, and then I'll read. Okay, so let's read it together. Drips and drops. There's something at the beginning of drips, and there's something at the beginning of drops. What is it? There's two letters. DR. What is DR? Is it a digraph? No, it's not a digraph. What could it be? It's a blend. Good. DR is a blend. Okay? A blend is when there's two letters, they make two sounds, and we're going to blend them together. We're going to kind of smush them together. So D says D. R says and we're going to blend them together to make dir. All right? So drips and drops. Okay, let's read the title again. You read it. Now we'll read it together. Drips and drops. Okay, what do we think the drips and drops are of? I don't know. We'll see. So let's start with the first page. You read it first. All right, so let's read that together. It was one. We had plans to go over to see Ben. He has a new pup. Good. Let's read the second page. Oh, no, I'm sorry. That was not in the screen. Let me try again. Good, so let's read that together. We were to be at his home at 2. All right, your turn. Okay, let's read that together. We saw the big drips and drops. We just sat in our home. So what do we think those big drips and drops are? Yeah, rain. It's probably rain. That's what they're talking about. Your turn. All right, let's read that together. Could we be there at 3? We were in a bit of a jam. Could we be with Ben and the pup? Your turn. Let's read it together. The drips and drops came again. They went splat. So the drips and drops is what I want you to be focusing on. The drips and drops are something that our theme needs, okay? All right, let's read that together. Our mom sat with us. All right, your turn. All right, let's read this together. The trip was late. We saw Ben and the pup at 4. Good job. So the drips and drops are rain, okay? So could you think of something that needs rain, that needs water, that's outside? Well, behind me in my background is my garden, my vegetable plants. Do vegetable plants need water? Yes, vegetable plants do need water. Okay, so could our theme be plants? Exactly. Our theme is plants. So we are going to do a couple things learning about plants today. That's why I'm sitting in front of my garden so that you guys can see my plants. And we read a book that was a little bit about rain and what it's the drips and drops outside. And plants need rain. Plants need water. If it doesn't rain, Miss Martin has to get out her hose and water my plants because plants cannot live without water. Okay, so that's something that they need. Now, can plants live without food? No. So the water is like their food. They're sucking up the water, and that's kind of what feeds them. They also need soil. Okay, plants need soil. They need to be in soil. So that's what my plants are in. You can see that I have my soil that my plants are planted in because that's something that they need. Now, plants are also outside. You can have plants inside, but my plants are outside. Now, it's really windy out here, okay? And it's blowing around the air. Plants need air. They need air to survive, okay? Now, do plants need a candy bar? No. Okay, plants don't need candy bars. Do people need candy bars? No, you want candy bars. Okay, so there's a difference between something that you need and something that you want. Plants cannot live without air. They can't live without soil. They can't live without water. And there's one more thing that they can't live without. Do you guys know what the one thing that plants can't live without is? Exactly, sunlight. Plants can't live without the sun. So they need 4 things. Okay, the first thing they need is water. The second thing they need is soil. The third thing they need is air. And the fourth thing they need is sunlight. So plants need those 4 things to survive. All right, so what do we think that we need to survive? We need food as well. Just like plants need food. We need water, okay? We need shelter. Do we need an Xbox? No, we want an Xbox, okay? So there's definitely a difference between things that you need and plants need and things that you want, okay? So another book that we're going to read today is called Warm Weather. Now, I don't necessarily have a book at home that's exactly about plants, okay? Since I'm teaching from home, some of my books are at home and some of my books are at school. But I thought that this worm weather book would be fun because it's about rain, all right? And a way for plants to get water is from rain, okay? So if it doesn't rain, I use my hose, of course, but if it does rain, that is the best water for plants. It's great, pure water that has nothing else in it, and it just goes on my plants, and it's great for them to suck up that water, okay, and feed themselves and so that they can grow. Okay, so worm weather. Worm weather. Drip, drop, skip, and hop. Okay, we talked about drip and drop in our last book. You guys read those words. So drip, drop, skip, and hop. Splish, splash, sidewalk, dash. Worm, worm, wiggle, squirm. Worm weather. So what kind of weather are they talking about when they say worm weather? They're talking about rain. They're talking about rainy weather. Coat, hat, rain goes splat. Now, if these people had a garden outside, the rain would definitely be feeding their garden. Boots, jump, old tree stump. Big stomp, puddle swamp. Mud, stop, belly flop. Almost. Dark cloud, very loud. What would they be talking about when they say dark cloud, very loud? Yeah, they're talking about thunder. Okay, so it's very loud. They're talking about when it's thundering outside. Bright flash, thunder, crash. So what are they talking about when they're talking about a bright flash in the sky while it's raining? Lightning. Perfect. So we're learning a lot about plants today, and we're also learning about weather. Quick race, pizza place. Why would they try to be racing to the pizza place? Yeah, to get some shelter, to get out of the rain. Who likes to stand outside in the rain? Drip dry, pizza pie. I hear a lot of words in this book too, like dry pie. What are those words? Rhyming words. Good job. Sun pops, drizzle stops. Now when they say drizzle stops, what are they talking about stopping? Drizzle. Like a drizzle of chocolate syrup on my ice cream? No, they can't be talking about chocolate syrup on my ice cream. That has nothing to do with the story. They're probably talking about the rain. The drizzle stopping. The rain is stopping. Birds fly, rainbow sky. Has anybody seen an awesome rainbow after a thunderstorm or a big rain? Yeah, it's awesome. It's so cool to see the rainbow outside. Run, sing, playground swing. Worm, worm, wiggle, squirm. Do you guys think that Miss Martin has worms in her garden? I bet I do. Where do worms even live? Yeah, they live in dirt, they live in soil, they live underground. I bet I could go through my garden and dig up a little bit of the soil and I could find worms in there. And that's where they live. That's their house. It's worm weather. Now, why would they say that it's worm weather? When it rains a lot in Ohio, what comes out? What do we see a lot on the ground? We see this a lot at our school, actually. I noticed when it rains outside around our school building, a lot of these creatures come out. Worms, exactly. A lot of worms come out when it's raining, and they're all over the parking lot, all over the sidewalks. So that's a great example of why they called that book Worm Weather, because when it's raining, a lot of worms come out. All right, so we were talking about plants. Now I want you guys to get out, I had an ant on my paper. Just a plain sheet of paper, okay? If it has lines on it, no big deal. And we are going to make a chart about the parts of a plant, okay? So at the top, I'm going to make a title for my chart. So I'm going to put parts of a plant. Okay, so that's what I'm going to put at the top. Parts of a plant. Now I know you guys know a lot about this already, so that's why we're kind of just reviewing it and doing it again. So we learn about this a lot at school. We learn about plants a lot. In the soil, under the ground, let's make the grass first here. Before we do underground, let's make the grass first, just so that we know where we are above ground and where we are below ground. So I have my grass right here. So I'm going to label that, okay? So to label, I'm just going to draw a small line from it and write grass. Grass. Okay? That has a blend at the beginning too. G-R. So we have our grass, and we've labeled grass. Okay? I'll give you guys 1 minute to catch up. Great. So under the grass, what do we think comes out of our plant? There's a bunch of them, kind of like spider legs. They spider out underground. What are those called? They're in the soil. Roots. Awesome. So we are going to label those roots. So again, we're going to draw our small little line and write roots. Okay, because there's more than one. Now, ooh. What two letters make the ooh sound together? Good. We're going to use O-O for that ooh sound in roots. All right. So take a quick second and you could draw your roots and label your roots. Now above the grass, coming from the roots, is a long green what? Stem. Awesome. So there's a long green stem, and that really helps the roots suck in the water. Okay, when there's water in the soil, the roots suck in the water and they bring it up through the stem so that they can give it to the rest of the plant. All right. So we have our stem. So we're going to label stem. That's a blend. Stem. And coming off of our stem, I'm just going to draw two of them. What are those? Leaves. Good. Coming off of our stem is leaves. Now if we look at Miss Martin's flower back here, I have a bunch of leaves. Okay, because I have one long stem that creates other little stems off of the main stem, and there's leaves all over it. Okay, and that's where my tomatoes are going to grow from. They're going to grow from those leaves. All right, so we have our leaves. So we're going to label leaves. All right, so I've labeled my leaves. Now the plant that we're going to actually draw is going to be a flower, okay? You have plants like vegetable plants, but you also have flowers, okay? So I'm going to draw something in the middle with little black dots. What are those little black dots? Those are seeds. Yeah, those seeds help create new plants. Okay, so we have seeds. All right, and then when we have flowers, we have something that is kind of like an oval shaped. What are those? The flower petals. Awesome. So we have flower petals as well. Okay, so you guys could draw and label that. Now, actually, some of my plants have flower petals on them. Okay, so my vegetable plants, they grow really big and they just don't have one flower at the top. They have a bunch of little flowers, and that's where my vegetables grow from. Okay, so I'll show you that in 1 second. It's very cool. All right, so we've made our chart about the parts of a plant, and we used a technique called labeling. Okay, so we labeled all the parts of the plant. Okay, so let me show you where I have little flowers that come off of my vegetable plants. So here is one of my vegetable plants. Okay? In this vegetable plant is a cherry tomato plant. Okay? And right here are two little yellow flowers that are coming off of my plant. You see how there's so many leaves? And it's actually going to get so much bigger. It's going to grow up and really twirl around the stand that I have here. Okay? But these flowers, they start and then tomatoes will grow off of those flowers. Okay? And I actually have a little green tomato right here that's already growing. All right, so it's pretty cool. If you guys have a garden at home, you guys know the process of growing a garden and starting a garden. All of my plants started as seeds. So I planted the seeds in my garden, and I put some soil over them, and then they grew roots. The seeds grew into roots, they grew a stem, and then they grew all those leaves. So that's how plants get started. Okay, so my next video, we're going to do another activity based on plants, and our theme is plants, so that's what we are going to write about in our next video. Alright, so this is video 1. Make sure that you guys check out video 2 so that you guys can practice some writing, and we're going to write about plants. Alright.